Nuclear war. Where will you be when the first bombs drop? Guys, it's undeniable there's tension and rhetoric at the moment that only leads towards nuclear weapons being used. Everybody's talking about it. There's lots of red lines being crossed in different countries. You know, you've got the Iranians pursuing to enrich their uranium enrichment program. You've got the Russians now, you know, being bear poked into literally using their nuclear weapons. You've got the Americans saying that Iran, under no circumstances can Iran develop its own nuclear weapons. So, guys, I don't feel it's a case of if. I really do feel it's a case of when this happens. Now, just quickly, guys, before we go on to the video, let me share this with you because it's kind of what I've just done on my previous video, but I just saw this and it just, you know, it just got me really annoyed. Just this article here, guys. Help with energy bills urged for struggling pensioners. Now, I'm not gonna dwell on this, guys, because I've just done this video on, you know, I've just done a video about this on another platform. Sorry, no, I've just done a video about this previously on here. But, you know, my nan, before she died, she was a pensioner, and she always used to struggle with her heating or, you know, buying food for the house. And it's just absolutely terrible that in the United Kingdom, we've got to a stage where our pensioners, those people who have paid into the system all their life, those people who built this country on their own backs are now being, you know, discarded as an unuseful, entity. Anyway, guys, that's it over with. So the nuclear tensions, guys, they really are building up all over the world. So I'm going to go with a couple of articles and, you know, a few things that I've said previously. So the NATO ally sounds alarm on risk of nuclear war with Russia. So basically, the Turkish foreign minister, I think it was. Let me read this so I don't get this wrong. Yeah, so I think it's the Turkish foreign minister. Yeah, the Turkish foreign minister, Hakan Fidan, issued a warning about the risk of nuclear war with Russia. So, you know, the Turkish have come out now and they're talking about the risk of nuclear war with Russia really escalating because of this war in Ukraine. Now, of course, you know, the Russians started the war in Ukraine, and then people are talking about peace talks, and then people are saying, oh, we need peace talks because Russia's a nuclear superpower. Guys, nobody wants nuclear war. But equally, we can't have a world where nuclear superpowers, because they're a nuclear superpower, can just go and invade and take other bits of other people's country. And then when people fight back, they say, we're a nuclear superpower. You can't fight us. So, you know, these things are ratcheting up. Now, it's really interesting that the Turkish foreign minister has said this after a meeting with his Russian partner, well, not his Russian partner, but his Russian the Russian. Hang on, let me get the right name for you here, guys. Unfortunately, I'll read it. Unfortunately, a war in the heart of Europe between Russia and Ukraine is in its third year. It risks escalating into a war involving the use of nuclear weapons, Fidan said during a TRT Harbour broadcast, has reported. He added that there is nothing more humane than the demand to stop the war, and negotiations need to take place to prevent the region becoming further devastated by war. So, you know, people are coming out now and they're saying, you know, as we move forward, the likelihood of nuclear weapons being used becomes more, you know, it becomes bigger, because, you know, when Russia, as it is now, some people can, well, you know, is Russia on the back foot? They've certainly had an incursion into their land that is the first time since the Second World War. So I'm going to say yes. Russia have taken a bloody nose. Now, Russian nuclear doctrine, and I've said this lots of times, and it was from 2010. I'll put a link in. In fact, let me do it now, guys. So Russian nuclear doctrine says that, hang on. So Russian nuclear doctrine from 2010, I think it was. Yeah, so let me share this with you now, guys. Because there was an article out a couple of days ago, and it said that Russian nuclear doctrine was from 2020. But I was like, no, I'm sure it's from 2010. According to Russian military doctrine, stated in 2010, nuclear weapons could be used by Russia in response to the nuclear and other types of weapons of mass destruction. Sorry, the use of nuclear and other types of weapons of mass destruction against Russia or its allies, and also in cases of aggression against Russia with the use of conventional weapons when the very existence of the state is threatened. So that's kind of what you have at the moment, guys. This bit here, where this bit. Hang on. Yeah. Also, yeah, there. Also, in the case of aggression against Russia, when the use of conventional weapons, when the very existence of the state is threatened. So that's where people, are saying, right, okay, Russia is in this category now with this incursion into Russia by the Ukrainians. So that's why people, are really concerned about this nuclear war happening and nuclear weapons being used. I personally don't think it's going to be a intercontinental ballistic missile. I think it'll be a low-yield tactical nuclear weapon that will get used. There's people arguing that they've already been used in the east of Ukraine, and they're saying, right, go and do a radiation check on the ground. But the reality is nobody can do that because you can't get the right inspectors out there. Now, I said something quite a while ago. I said, and this is an article now from the Wall Street Journal, nuclear weapons always stopped invasions. Then Ukrainian troops poured into Russia. Ukraine's incursion into Kursk isn't a brash bid to upend Russia's invasion. It also marks the first time that a declared nuclear power has faced an invasion and occupation by another country. And guys, I said this when it happened. I said this opens up a huge precedence now for Russia, because Russia's in this stage where, excuse me, where they've been telling everyone for years, right, guys, if people invade our country and there's a threat to our existence, we're going to start popping off good old nucos. And the Ukrainians have pushed into their territory. I thought the Ukrainians would do a smash and grab. I honestly did. I thought they'd go in, they'd raid, they'd do whatever they needed to do. They'd take out military targets, and then they'd extract with all their, with all their assets in place. They've not done that. They've moved in and they've stayed, and they've really dug in that region in Kursk. Now, we can argue about the tactics of that. We can argue about the significance of it. Personally, I think they should have smash and grab. But I'm from a light infantry background. I'm not from a heavy tanks and stuff. My background is light infantry, and that's what we always used to do. So now the Russians have to make that decision now. These red lines have been crossed, and if the red lines keep being crossed and Russia doesn't react how it says it would react, then they're just going to keep getting pushed and pushed and pushed. That's why I think the Russians right now, they're altering their nuclear doctrine. They're altering their procedures, their policies where they can use nuclear weapons. So I think in the next couple of days, we're going to see mass escalations. And guys, just imagine where you would be when that first nuclear weapon's fired. Whether it's in eastern Ukraine, whether it's in Russia, in Kursk region. Like I did a video and I said, right, okay. I said, when's what's his name? Not Medvedev. Yevgeny Perozgin or something, the guy who used to be in charge of Wagner Group. He did a video like a year ago or something saying that the only place Russia would, I did a video about it as well, guys, and as I understand from the video, he said that Russians would use a nuclear weapon on their own ground. That would take the boxes in the context that they would have used a nuclear weapon, so people would know they're serious. People would know they've got the capability and the capacity. And also, it would tick boxes by not ticking boxes in the context that if Russia uses a nuclear weapon on its own soil, then it's not using a nuclear weapon on somebody else's soil. So where's the nuclear response? Where's the nuclear retaliation? Where's the huge, again, I say Joe Biden, but he was just reading a teleprompter. You know, like Joe Biden said, if the if the Russians use a nuclear weapon in Ukraine, then the US Air Force would destroy all the Russian assets by the means of a conventional strike. So that's where that situation is. So that could be an option for the Russians, to use a nuclear weapon on their own ground, and they'd only have to use one, and then the Kursk region, they've dealt with it, done, over. You know, they don't have to invest any more manpower, they don't have to invest any more tanks, build any trenches, you know, all that stuff is done. Just send that nuclear bomb in. But once you open that, tin of nukes, it's very hard to put the lid back on. So that's what's happening in Ukraine, in Russia at the moment. That's kind of the escalations, the move forwards, and that's why, you know, we're inching towards somebody pushing that button. Now, in Iran sparks World War III nuclear fears with major move to increase atomic bomb arsenal. So Iranian officials are increasingly threatened that they could. Iranian officials have increasingly threatened that they could pursue atomic weapons as tensions between Tehran and the international community intensify. Guys, do we think that the Iranians are not doing this? Do we think that in their underground labs in the mountains, somewhere that, you know, the drones can't see because they are way, 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 way underground, do we think that there are not Iranian scientists backed by their ally Russia developing nuclear weapons? Or do we think that the Iranians, because the Americans have told them not to do it, do you think in their underground labs that nobody can see, nobody has any idea what's happening? Do you think the scientists have said, no, we can't do this because Joe Biden says we're not allowed? Yeah, no worries. Has Joe let us continue his work yet? No, he's not. He's not letting us do it. No worries. And they're just sat there having a cup of tea. Absolutely not. It's ridiculous to even assume that. So, you know, this would be my speculation. And my speculation, guys, my opinion, nobody can argue with it because it's my opinion, would be that in these underground labs, in these deep underground facilities that we know Iran has, there will be, you know, Iranian scientists, there will be Russian scientists, and they will be developing these systems. Not only that, now you've got this partnership alliances with Iran and Russia. What you'll have, you know, you could actually have the Russians just giving them nuclear weapons, or certainly giving them the means to create them, so it looks like they've built them themselves. Now, why is this important on the global, on a wider range of things? Well, it's important because back on the 1st of November 23, the Americans' House of Representatives passed something called Bill 559. Bill 559, I'll show it to you guys actually. Bill 559 is basically so Bill 559 is, hang on, let me get this up for you guys so you can see. So you guys know I'm not just making this stuff up. So here we are, guys. This is from congress.gov. This is the US. Where are we? Right, guys. So I'll put a link in the description, guys. But there it is, guys. In a nutshell, this bit here. Bill 559 declaring it is the policy of the United States that a nuclear Islamic Republic of Iran is not acceptable. So they're telling you now that if the Iranians, you know, do have the capacity, they do have a nuclear weapon, then it's unacceptable. Now, in political language, that kind of means, you know, we need to do an invasion and stuff and do like a good old-fashioned war. You can see this rhetoric coming, and I've been saying this for such a long time. I said, when Trump gets in, you're going to have the Americans focusing their military intent in the Middle East with Iran, with Syria, with Lebanon, with what are the Houthis? Yemen, All those regions, that's where the United States can be concentrated. And then Britain and the rest of NATO are going to be focused in eastern Ukraine with Russia. You know, the Russian military has kind of it's kind of committed now and grind to a halt. The wind's been taken out of the Russian military. Now, that's the conventional military. Then there's the strategic systems, the strategic warheads, because, you know, Russia is the world, on paper, Russia is the world's biggest superpower. Now, there's an argument that they don't have a sufficient tritium supply, and I actually go with the argument. I don't think anybody else has spoken about this, guys, all right? You need an amount of tritium to service these nuclear weapons, and I don't think Russia has that. I think they have a limited supply, and what they do have, it's very difficult for them to get, because there's only so many producers that can produce tritium. It's kind of it's kind of a difficult thing. It's a difficult thing to do. So that's the situation there, guys, on the World War III nuclear war front, guys. What I will say is, you know, I think now it's not if, it's when. Just imagine where you would be when this happens. Imagine, you know, people are all looking at their phones going, oh my God, yeah, oh God, and looking quick, and everybody's scurrying around. Imagine the Karen factor, guys. Imagine the Karen factor when when everybody's queuing up outside the supermarkets to get toilet roll or whatever they're trying to get. So what I'm saying is, just if you've got the capacity now, at a bare minimum, go and get yourself some water, guys. All right, because when these things happen, you know, shipping lanes will be closed. You know, now they won't be closed by. They'll be closed because of fear. They won't be closed because the United Kingdom or anywhere in the West getting nuclear bombs hit them, although that may happen. What will happen is, once these things start to happen, everybody will flap and there will be mass panic. It will be, guys. You know, we've seen this over the last 4 years. What happens when people panic? What happens when people worry? What happens when people get overexcited about something and they don't understand the real threat? Remember, guys, there's an RAF saying, it's knowledge dispels fear. And they tell you that when you're doing your parachute training at the RAF. You get these parachute jumping instructors, and they come and tell you this. And guys, if you know about your system, you know how it works, you won't be scared. I totally argue that, guys. When you stood in the back of an aircraft and it's pitch black and you're stood there looking down with your parachute on, you are scared. But that's what they say. But I do understand it now. If you know these systems, if you know how they work, you know, it kind of gets rid of a lot of that fear that you have. But anyway, guys, that's it. Just imagine where you would be and try and, think, is there anything I can get now that I've been putting off doing that, I should probably be doing now, because we're edging closer and closer. Every step that, every incursion that Ukraine takes into Russia, that's taking us a step further to, a nuclear conflict. Every hour that goes by, the Iranians, in my opinion, are developing a nuclear weapon. And we've already seen it. I've just shared it with you guys. The Americans back in November said what did they say? Let me get the correct wording, guys. Is the policy of the United States that a nuclear Islamic Republic of Iran is not acceptable. That's there, that's out there, guys. I've showed it you. I'll put it in the description. You can go look at that for yourselves. So that's it, guys. We are edging towards, the nuclear catastrophe, I think, and it's only a matter of time. Guys, that's it. I'm going to mag to grid. I'll try and get you guys another video later. Don't forget to like and subscribe and give me a comment, guys. I really enjoy it when I read your comments, and I will be answering all of them as soon as I've uploaded this video. I'll speak to you soon.